Well, hey everyone, and welcome to Inspirations for Your Life. It is so great to be with you here on the Inspirations for Your show. It is Saturday, June 6th, 2026. What does that mean? Besides it being a Saturday, that's the day we start a brand new week. We go from Saturday and we finish up on a Friday for our Sunday week. Great to be with you. We start a brand new master topic that we kick off. If this is your first time, ladies and gentlemen, joining us, I want to take the opportunity to say welcome and thank you. If you've been here one time, five times, 10 times, 15, 100, or even more, I'd like to take this opportunity to say not only thank you, but I'd also like to say the words welcome back. I really do appreciate people that enjoy the quality and content of the show that I produce and want to make that part of their daily lives. If you guys are thirsty, hungry, or what have you, feel free to go grab something, whether that's our water, whether it's another beverage, soda, or another snack, whatever it is, feel free to grab that and come on back to the show. Don't forget to check out, ladies and gentlemen, believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations, which you do, incidentally, after the show is over. All right, guys, let's kick this show off. In case you didn't know who I am, allow me to introduce myself. My name is John C. Morley. I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm an engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student, passionate lifelong learner, and now I'm so grateful to be a published author. Really grateful for that, ladies and gentlemen. And just to let you know, in this particular episode of Inspirations for Your Life, we kick off, as I said, a brand new weekly theme: compassion over perfection. Incidentally, this is series 5. We're on the air our 5th year, and it is a show number 24. This is episode number 1. And today's specific focus is how to drop the performance. I know so many people out there, they want to just perform, but they do it for the wrong reasons. They do it to get attention. If you're tired of feeling like you have to be on all the time, impress everyone in the room, and turn every moment into content, this one is for you. I love creating content, but there are some times, ladies and gentlemen, when I unplug, and that's not content that I share. Why you don't need to impress everyone to be valuable. How perfectionism is really a fear in a nice outfit. And I think these are things that a lot of people, don't understand, and they don't realize, what they mean. But they're important, guys. They're important. And, why is it that your worth is not a productivity scoreboard? Well, your value comes down to who you are, right? And what you deliver. But it's not about trying to compete with someone, because you see, we're all at different levels in life. And I think the sooner we get that, the sooner we actually level up. So, ladies and gentlemen, why do people connect more to what's real than what's flawless? Well, there's a lot of flawless stuff out there over the internet, right? There's all kinds of scams. There's all kinds of let's say, fake information. And a lot of people believe these, get rich quick schemes, or they believe these people that have these amazing things. Like there's this one guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but you probably know who I mean. He rents cars to impress people. I'm not going to do that. He rents cars by the hour to impress people, to show people how successful he is. He doesn't own any of these cars. So he might rent like 2, 3, 4, or 5 cars to show everybody how much wealth he has. That's bragging. And that is not cool, guys. So how do you step back from always performing and start actually living? I think the reason and the understanding here is that we step back, and when we step back and when we acknowledge our accomplishments, we're going to find out that other people do it too. Of course, it's nice when other people will acknowledge it first, but we need to be the ones that acknowledge our performance, our milestones first. That's what it is. If we can't be happy with who we are, then how the heck is someone else going to be happy, right? But do it for ourselves first, not for others, all right? You're going to hear powerful, practical reminders that you probably will like you're allowed to show the unedited version of your life. So I do what I call backstage scenes of shows and stuff like that. Do I record my whole life? No, but I do record some personal things, like what goes into a show and some of the challenges and We have this new thing we started on YouTube not too long ago, and it's a pretty cool thing if you ask me. We have the John C. Morley Serial Entrepreneur channel, which you're probably familiar with, and it's actually under the brand, ladies and gentlemen, of JCM Academy. In case you didn't know what that is, so the playlist that you actually want to go to, because that's probably the best place for you to really understand this, is this specific playlist, and the playlist is this: the Drain to Driven Author Journey and Book Moments. That's where you want to go. And that's where I share a lot of backstage stuff that I don't put on stage. So you're allowed to show the unedited version of your life. And today I was leaving on a trip, and first thing people say, "Oh my gosh, don't shoot from an airport," right? Nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, when you shoot, realize why you're doing it. You're not doing it to impress people. You're doing it to be authentic. And I think when you're authentic, you're like, hey, I get this guy. I get this lady. Like, this person's living a normal life. And these are things that show that you are living a life like that. Performing all the time leads straight to emotional. Guess what? What is that word? I wrote a big book on it. Burnout. Because you're having to impress this one. You're raising the stakes with all kinds of energy. And it is so darn exhausting, guys. It's exhausting. And you're not going to be able to keep up with this your entire life. You're going to be like, you know what, John, something has to give. I can't do this anymore. Right? So stop trying to perform. I love performing, but when I perform, it's not to impress an audience. It's to come out there and be authentic. It's to just be John. When I come out to a stage, whether there's a few people or there's thousands or millions, I come out there and I tell my story, just like I'm talking to one of you. There might be thousands or more in the room, but I'm having a one-on-one conversation with you personally. And that's how my trainings go. That's how my author talks go. A bad day does not equal a bad life. Let me see if I can talk to you about this. So maybe you've had a time in your life when you got up in the morning, and maybe I don't know, maybe you did something like you broke a glass or you stubbed your toe, right? You could have done any one of these things. And the thing is, when this happens, of course, there's that shock moment, right? Maybe there's a little bit of discomfort. But the important thing is to dismiss it. Okay, I stubbed my toe. Yes, that hurt. The rest of my day is going to be great, though. In fact, the discomfort's already starting to leave my foot. So that's how it works. When we change our mindset, our receptors start to respond to that. I know it sounds really bizarre, but our mind controls what we perceive. Okay. So a bad day doesn't equal a bad life. And if something's not going the way you want, no need to harp on it. Just say, hey, okay, that wasn't a great start to the day. The rest of my day is going to be awesome. Right. You probably had those situations. There could be numerous ones. It could be getting fired and like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? The rest of my day is going to be great, or the rest of my life is going to be great. Maybe that was the thing that was supposed to happen to me. Or it could be something like, you're in a store and somebody says something to you and it wasn't nice. I was actually somewhere one time and somebody said to me, could you keep it down? And I wasn't even that loud. But I said, so what, to myself? I was courteous and respectful, but I said, the rest of my day is going to be great. And it was. So that's the whole thing. Just because you have a bad moment doesn't mean it's going to be a bad day. All right. But if you put the preface in your mind that, oh my gosh, the rest of my day is going to be horrible. This is going to kill me. Right. Maybe you broke an heirloom or something like Yadro or something that was special in the family. And yeah, there was some sentimental emotion to it. But, once you dismiss it, I broke it, the rest of my day is going to be okay. Okay. And I think once we know that and we get over that fact that, oh my gosh, like it's going to be okay. Maybe you had a situation, I don't know, maybe somebody broke you. Maybe you got robbed, unfortunately. And now the rest of your day is horrible. But, the rest of your day is going to be great because now you're aware of it. Now you're going to get a security system. Now you're going to do what you need to do. Now you're going to stop living in fear and you're going to start living life at the true core. See, a bad life happens because people put the actions in over and over again. I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not enough. Of course, if you keep telling yourself that, sure, you're going to believe that. So if you tell yourself, I am enough, I am great, I am abundant, I am this, I am that, you will be that. Okay. It's not a light switch, it just happens. But people get into this rhythm so much that they start pulling the little bit of success they have and the little bit of good like down the drain. You don't need, ladies and gentlemen, to earn rest or broadcast every moment to prove you're growing. I broadcast and I do stuff because I love doing it. Do I do it every waking moment of the day? No. Do I spend some time doing it during the day? Yes, but I love sharing those moments. But those moments are never to prove to anybody anything. Like, I don't go record something that I'm getting a new car or that I'm buying something, unless something has to do with tech or something like that. But I don't do it to boast. I don't do it to rub anybody's face in it. And I think a lot of content creators do that. I do that so that it can help the greater good of all concerned. And I think that's a very important thing, is that when we do it from the heart, when we do it with the right premise, it works. You are allowed, ladies and gentlemen, to exist without proving anything to anyone. You don't have to prove anything unless you want to. And that might be hard for some people. Like, they always have to be right. But if you're wrong sometimes and you're humble, it'll be easy. So, like I said to you, when maybe you stub your toe or you break something, or maybe you burn your hand or you put it under hot water or something like that, and you start with, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, that moment. Now the rest of my day is gonna be good. I remember being in a situation many years ago, probably when I was in my single digits, before I was even out of grammar school. We were down the shore. We were in our bungalow. We hadn't rebuilt our house yet. And this was our summer place. My parents bought it like the year I was born. And the place was basically all wood, was one floor. It's the kind of place that had basically a concept that there was really no heat. We had some kind of basic heat, but it wasn't anything great. And it was all, hot air, blowed heat. And so I remember one night we were watching TV. Okay. It was a storm coming, thunder, lightning. And during that storm, I turned the TV off. First, my dad's like, turn the TV off. It's not good to be watching TV when, there's a storm, because it could attract. Well, we said the same thing to my mom. She was talking, I think, to my grandmother on my dad's side. And at the time, that was over an hour and a half away where we lived up north. And so, like, Mom, get off the phone, get off the phone. I know, I'm talking to Grandma. We're almost done. And within, I'm going to say, less than a minute, bang. What was that? She goes, Mom, I think I got to call you back. She hangs up the phone. What was that? I think we got hit by lightning. And within a few moments, that shock wore off. We called actually 911 to call the responders, the fire department, because we smelled something that was burning. We couldn't put our hands on it. So my dad had myself, my mom flew over to our neighbors, which is right next door. And my dad's kind of staying behind, but getting out of the house and waiting for the fire department, first responders. And they did conclude that we were hit. So did we worry about storms every time? No, but we were cautious. We had lightning rods installed on our house. And we're a lot more cautious whenever there's a storm. We get off the phone. When we rebuilt our house down there, we made sure it had lightning rods built into its structure. Right? Something that was never done back then. And to know that moment didn't change our lives in a bad way. It actually made it better because now, whenever we're around lightning, thunder, we respect it. Respect it. We could have had this premise that everything's going to be bad the rest of our life. It's not. If you're ready, ladies and gentlemen, to breathe, log off from the pressure to be perfect. I know even my dad wanted me to be perfect when I was younger. And I was like, I can't do this. And finally, there was a point when my grandmother stepped in and said, you know what, Jack, you weren't perfect. And reconnect with who you are, not just what you produce. And don't be afraid, ladies and gentlemen, to hit play. Even if it's not perfect, even if you think it's not done, it's okay to play that out. So compassion was very important. And I think a lot of times people feel they have to perform because if they don't perform, then they're not good. Then they're not a success. You don't always have to be performing, right? Let's take athletes for a moment, right? They're on the field, they catch the ball, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is. Well, now we've got the FIFA Cup, right? The soccer cup, big thing happening in the United States in 2026. Off the field, okay, you don't have to be a performer. But a lot of younger athletes believe that the only way they've got fame is because they've got to perform off the field. They don't. People I have found respond more to human compassion, to kindness, to truth, to authenticity. That's what people respond to every single day. There are people that go out there, even other keynote speakers like myself, but they go out there with the concept to perform. When I go out there, it's not to perform. Okay, is it a performance? Not really. I'm going out there to give a talk, to have a conversation with my audience. Are there different performances that happen, like lights and sound? Yes, but they don't take away from the authenticity, that compassion. Okay, I never say to somebody, I'm going to do a performance. If I play the piano, that's a performance. This is not a performance. This is a conversation. This is an author talk. This is a keynote. This is a workshop. They're not performances. They're truthful exchanges between myself, the audience, the participants, and then their reactions. So many people I talk to, especially people just getting out of college, feel they need to perform all the time. You know, you're not on trial 24/7. People feel that if they let their guard down for 1 minute, they're going to lose out. And I want to say something to that. Maybe your work is very competitive. I get that. But you got to trust sometimes. And you got to be authentic. You got to stop performing because you think that's going to get the boss attention. What's going to get the boss attention is the numbers, yes, but someone who's authentic, someone who cares about the product, the services, and the clients or customers you service. Everybody talks about numbers. Even our own banks, they talk about numbers. They want people that are not just tellers or universal bankers. They want people that are sales sharks. What does that mean? They want people that are able to bond with the clients, to get to know them, and to be able to, well, learn from them. You know, Dale Carnegie said something very interesting many years ago, and I was fortunate to take his class. He wasn't around, but I got to take it from some other people that put the course on. And he said, strive to become genuinely interested in other people. Don't worry about you being interested. That's not important. Just get interested in other people. And you're going to find if you do that, people are going to flip the table. And they're going to want to become interested in you. But you see, this doesn't happen with events where there's hundreds of people at a networking event, and people just trying to push off cards. The concept of quality, the concept of value, the concept of integrity, the concept of authenticity, it fades. And why does it happen? Because they feel if you speak to enough people, it's a numbers game. Yes, sales is a numbers game, but you can get a lot more from people when you actually care. Many times sales will happen just because of a conversation. This has happened to me on the plane. Don't even know the person, just having a conversation, not even trying to sell them. And bam, they contact me and I'm consulting with them. I think the reason I love being an author so much is that I get to tell my truth. I get to tell my story. I get to tell the world's story when I write other books as well. That's why I like to write nonfiction. In case you guys didn't know, fiction is fantasy, right? Not real. Nonfiction is about truth. And why is it people don't tell truth? Well, because truth doesn't always sell. The main line for journalists and publicists is only write or cover it if you know it's going to bleed. Because if it bleeds, it's going to lead. That is a terrible attitude. People do it every single day. TV, newspaper, magazines. I guess the media thinks that if there's gossip or there is something that points out somebody is bad, then that's going to sell. Maybe it does. But I ask you a question. If it was the reverse, okay, and they were the journalist and they found something about you, would you want that published? I would think not. So I'm going to ask you very nicely, everyone, to drop the performance. Your life's not a magic show, okay? Your life is not a Broadway play every day. If you're in a play or a performance and I do acting, that's different. But every day is not a performance, okay? People say life is a game. It is a game. You have to be strategic, but in this kind of game, it's being authentic. It's not playing poker and trying to hold your cards. It's being authentic for who you are in life and who you choose to show up as. You see, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were saying, it matters with what I did for them. No, it doesn't. You might think it does. It comes down to one thing. It comes down to how you made them feel. If what you did didn't make them feel a certain way, all you did was just open your mouth and basically elicit words. So I say to you, drop the performance. And by dropping the performance, I mean, actually be you. So many people I know try to be other people. Being a content creator and video producer for many years, as well as an engineer and other things, I knew that when I started this, it wasn't about copying others. It was about being John. It was about telling my story from my point of view, not somebody else that's got 10 million views. That's not authentic. And even if it worked and it got me more views, that wouldn't be who I am. That would be phony. And being a journalist for many years, I believe so much in truth. I believe so much in integrity, so much in compassion. But I want to tell you, don't be afraid to hit play in your life. Don't keep rewinding or erasing and re-recording your story. Your story is good enough already if it's authentic and true. Because when you're not afraid to play and share that story, that's when magical moments of life happen. Compassion or perfection, right? Everybody wants things to be perfect. But maybe you could show a little bit of compassion. Those will show compassion to you. As I say to you guys, drop the performance. This isn't Broadway. Even if you are on Broadway, your life is not Broadway, okay? I don't care if you're a singer, you're an actor, and I do acting too. your daily life is not a performance. It's not a facade. I was telling the story about Mr. Rogers a few days ago and how on one of the episodes he actually showed the truth of his television studio. And I was blown away learning that what we didn't see was actually the cameras and the whole set, the whole right side that we'd see on TV, which was actually nothing. It was just a wall. Well, no wall. It was just a bunch of people there with cameras. And it was a stage. It was a facade. So I ask you this, ladies and gentlemen, do you want to create a facade in your life or do you want to create truth? A facade may seem to give you a leg up for the moment, and even put some dollars in your pocket, but it won't last forever. And when people learn your real truth, you will lose followers, you'll lose friends, you'll lose investors, you'll lose clients even quicker than you got them. Nobody wants a facade. Nobody wants a performer. Somebody wants people to be authentic. Somebody wants people to tell the truth. Somebody wants people to stop being that performer, right? And be somebody that's actually going to make a difference in their own lives and other people's lives. And I think that's a very, very hard thing for a lot of people to understand. You can do this, ladies and gentlemen. You absolutely can do this. I'm going to say right now, drop the performance. Let me say it again. Drop the performance. Drop the performance. Don't worry if every word isn't perfect. Don't worry if every article you write is incorrectly perfect, or every email you draft is not the best. People will understand if it comes from the heart, if it comes from truth. You'll get compassion. Are there going to be hecklers out there? Sure, there are. Okay? That's part of life. Being tough, being strong. And the people that respect and understand that will be attracted to. The other people, well, they're just looking for a show. If they want a show, they can go to Broadway, or they can go to Paper Mill, or they could go any other place. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your evening. We'll see you real soon. Don't forget to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. Be well, everyone.